Hello, I'm elderkrill. When I was young, my mom would draw squiggles on a piece of paper and tell us to find whatever shapes we could. When I look at this, I can see a little head shape, and it seems like an animal. The more I draw, the more it looks like an abstract lamb laying down, or maybe more of a ram, as the lighter part could be a curled horn. Then the idea popped into my head. What if I got my friends to draw shapes, and I had to build something within those shapes? So I asked and got an assortment. My first build is Lina. She drew these flowy lines, and when I look at the protruding loops, I want to turn them into circles, but I don't want to lose the full perimeter, so I'll keep the circles connected somehow where I've marked them with blue. I'm just going to take some oak wood and build it up about 4 or 5 blocks, following the circle shape I mapped out. And here we can see what the outside will look like. Then I'll follow this for the other 4 huts. I'm using the furniture add-on pack by XP Games, which I reviewed in the last video, for the hay roofing. And I've mixed in some regular hay blocks to give it more of a worn and disheveled look. I'm also going to use this add-on pack throughout the video because I wanted to make this little village look like a tribe of people who had built their homes next to ancient ruins. So I'm using the wallpaper blocks to look like hanging fabrics on the hut, and I'll mix in some vanilla banners as well as these cool little triangle ones. For the flooring, I'm combining some mud bricks with packed mud, and I won't be focusing on decorating the inside for this video because I just wanted to build the structures. I'll go around adding more details and breaking random blocks for windows using oak trapdoors. These little hanging pots I love, and I think this work table would work great as a garden bench. Then I think I'll connect the huts by using these fence posts so I can keep the shape and then continue to place down things like pebbles and wooden paths. I'm really just trying to get a feel for where things flow best. As you can see, I changed blocks up several times, but I love this orange chevron and green and white flower wallpaper. There's so much you can do creatively with this pack. I'm going to turn my attention toward the 2 ponds now, and I'll replace my mapping blocks with mossy cobblestone and dirt. After digging down a few blocks, I want to make the base mostly moss, so I'll bone meal that, layer up the water, and then add cobbled slabs leading back down into the water. I didn't like how low the water was, so I ended up making it level with the ground. I want to dig around the pond a bit to change up the terrain, but I won't go too crazy with the inside as we're not really going to see it. On top, I'm placing these cute lily pads. And get this, a water wheel. I wish I would have realized this at the time, that this moves with water. We're just going to acquaint it with the fact that this village has been long abandoned, and these pillar blocks go great with these urns. I was trying to figure out the look for between these huts, and I thought along with the hay roofs, perhaps these villagers focused mostly on growing carrots and handling hay. So I built out a section starting with door frames to pack a bunch of hay blocks together. I love the addition of the hay block with the pitchfork because it really looks like after a long day of rolling up barrels, someone just stuck the pitchfork in there until next time. I was constantly trying to decide how the terrain should look, so this took a lot of adjusting, but I did mix between different blocks to make the pathways look more organic. I grew some acacia trees around the first pond, and look how this add-on gives tree leaf falling effect. But I want to change out the trunks for strip spruce. Now I am sort of jumping through the decorating part and jumping to the night view. I used the mix of muddy roots, muck, wet dirt, and podstool, which I like because it looks more like the rain runoff might accumulate here, and instead of fences, I built up a wall of mixed oak planks. I finished layering the roof, but I made one of them look like it had been through weathering and natural decay, with some of the hay roof lying on the hut floor. In the bird's eye view, we can see a pretty decent job of keeping inside the shape. So dropping in, let's do a walkthrough of the village. I love the little details of the weeds. And here is our second pond that is connected to the deeper one, where you can climb up these steps and make your way over to the other one. I've connected the water wheel to an iron beam, added some mangrove roots, mushrooms, flags, and a hammock, which you can lay in. And I added more trees and created a little wood gathering section with logs and wood pieces. For my second build, I have Pine. He drew this high-fiving ghost. Now, this one was really challenging to come up with a design, but when I saw this picture by Pat Pack Builds, I knew what I wanted to do. After spending a crazy amount of time trying to map out this shape, I'm going to start by making some pillars. This is what I imagine was an ancient arched pathway that led to a beautiful view of gardens. I felt like ruins were the easier way to go because it meant I could do funky shapes that actually looked like something while not having to actually build it out. So I'm starting by building stone bricks up high. Once I have them positioned, I'm going to attempt to make some crude arches. And I tried full blocks, but they were too wide for the space, so I randomly assorted stone wall pieces instead, trying to place them sporadically so no two were exact. I played around with some shapes for the pillars, and I ended up feeling they were all too skinny, only using one block, so eventually I filled out the space a bit more by making the pillars 2 by 2 blocks wide. To decorate the top of the pillars, I'm placing down 4 steps, which was fighting me a little bit at wanting to turn inward. And then on top of the steps, I'll place 4 wall posts. And above that, I'll place 4 more upside down steps, and then 4 steps again on top. Okay, this is the part I love in any build, which is the breaking so I can make it look more worn or rustic. And that's where the texturing comes in, so I can add wall pieces and tough wool and slate blocks. Then going a few blocks below the inside arch, I'll place 2 steps upside down to make a second smaller arch. I felt it still looked disconnected, so I'm adding more of those stone wall pieces and zigzagging them back and forth until they reach a point. And I think this makes them look more connected and the design flows better. I'm going to move to the back part of this section and build the wall up by placing a bunch of stone bricks because I really don't know what to do with this part of the build, so I just need it to blend into the background. I tried to bring my attention to the base of the pillars to fill it out, making it look like years of dirt piling up covered some of it, but I couldn't settle on a design I liked, and there was so much more to build in this piece, so I think I even actually forgot to finish it. Then I distressed the back wall, which even though it's sort of purposeless right now, I did like how it turned out. Moving on to the other side of the shape, I decided I would turn the 2 sides of the base into terrain rather than a building, so I squared off a section for building a barn. But if we look over at the 2 loops, they're a bit funky. I mean, I could have planted trees or made a wall, but I wanted to make a proper structure. So I actually went in and rounded it out just a tad so I could make a tower, and then did this for the other circle. I was inspired to turn this larger tower into a stained glass window, so I'm just trying out different blocks for the frame. I layered several glass blocks, but it turned out so pretty that I don't want to show it to you until the end. So on the smaller tower, I'm adding a mix of darker blocks like dark gray cement, deep slate, and then I'll move up to tough, mossy cobblestone, regular cobblestone, and some andesite. I've built up really high and made a platform where I'll make these arches, and then I'll build a second set of arches on top. I've added more pieces like wall blocks to fill it out and add some interest. The higher I go, I want to add more moss blocks and leaves, making sure to also add in brick steps in odd places to look like the brick has worn away. I've made some large gaps for deterioration, and I'm going to go in about a block back and place black concrete to make it stand out more. Now going back over to the squared off section, I started with a mix of spruce planks and wood, but decided stripped oak and spruce looked best for the walls. On the left side of the base, I'm going to make a small pond, replacing the blue blocks with mixed cobblestone and lining it with moss. I had to do a bit of terraforming to bridge this gap, and I also replaced the blue blocks on this side with mixed cobblestone. To fix it up a bit, I've added stone roofing tiles, pressure plates, buttons, and little pebbles. From the same pack, I'll add this oak fencing on the inside facing the cliff, and then I'll add some vanilla fence posts. Then I just wanted a simple roof, so I'll just place spruce and oak steps and add some planks in between. For the windows, I decided to use shutters, and I want to add little details like this small broom and chair, and another of these tables for a bench. And for the skinnier windows, I'll use spruce fence posts from the pack. For the small tower, I just finished it up by creating a second smaller pillar and a dark oak roof. I wasn't really sure what to do on the opposite side, so I made another entrance into the area by building up an arch, but I'll get back to that in a minute. Then I just want to fill the floor of that archway walkway with the same mix of blocks. and right next to that archway I built up, I'm gonna make a groundskeeper house. I've used copper, brick, and granite blocks for the floor, and used this cool spruce block for the walls. On that arch, I've made it 2x2 blocks for each pillar to give it some weight, and I played around with some blocks until I liked the design of both the base and the top. I added soul lanterns to make it feel more magical, and for the ground, I've placed spruce tables and thrown in some mixed cobblestone. On the house, I tried moss and cobblestone steps, and then I tried using plain spruce steps, but I honestly don't remember what I decided. Well, ready to see? Ah, crème de la crème. I have to say, I am really pleased with these builds. It was so fun to challenge my creativity and see what I could make. And here we have the aerial view. It's all the details for me. The crumbling towers, the moss and leaves. So let's walk through the building. I just absolutely love how the stained glass window turned out. I did it by placing an assortment of colored glass blocks, and behind each one I placed 4 blue glass blocks and a yellow frog light, and on the sides I used black stained glass with purple frog lights. Here is the dusk view and then midnight view. I know these shots might be a bit redundant, but I can't get over how pretty it is. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this challenge, and I'll see you soon.